Hey there guys, it's Mallory from Hackley Public Library, and tonight I'm going to show you how you can make a really cute leaf clay dish. I'm using some air dry clay, which if you had registered and picked up a craft kit, the air dry clay would have been provided to you. If you didn't register for a craft kit and you don't have air dry clay at home, that's okay. It's actually quite easy to find. You can find it at certain craft stores, you can find it online, and it's relatively inexpensive. So we'll be using the air dry clay to make our leaf clay dish. You'll also want to grab a knife that you can use, something, just a knife that you find at home. And then also you'll want to find a leaf from outside. And I have tested it. Preferably, real leaves do seem to work a little bit better than fake plastic leaves. But, if you're in a pinch and you have just a plastic leaf at home that you want to use instead of going outside and finding a leaf, that should be fine too. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get my air dry clay and just kind of, mix it around a little bit, get some of the air bubbles out. And then I'm going to take a dish. I have a plate here or any type of flat surface that you're going to be able to put your clay on and kind of stretch it out. And of course, you want to stretch it out to where your leaf will be able to fit on it. If you want to try to have your whole leaf on it or just a portion, it's up to you. But something to remember is that you don't want to stretch the clay out too thin, because you do still want to have enough clay substance to where you can kind of fold it and mold it into the dish that you want. Now, another thing that you're going to want to remember to use is using a leaf that is a little bit wet. If you have a leaf that is really dry, it will start to crack, it might fall apart. Also, using a leaf that's a little bit wetter gives it the chance to not stick to the clay as much. Because if you have a leaf that's more dry, it tends to want to stick to the clay more. So if your leaf is not wet from being outside, just run it under the sink, for a second or two, just to make sure that it's kind of moist or damp. All right, so I'm going to take my clay and really just kind of press it out. If you have a rolling pin, you're welcome to do that as well. I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm going to press it and then kind of continually turn it over, just to kind of make sure that it's even on both sides. And I will end up using the one side that doesn't have as many fingerprints on it. Because if you have one side that you're pressing, it'll have quite a few fingerprints, but the other side will be quite smooth. And as you're pressing your fingers down into the clay, you can take your leaf and just kind of test it out to see if you have it pressed down enough, if you have enough room for your leaf. Now, something that you're going to want to remember to do also is make sure that when you press your leaf onto your clay, that you're pressing, I would consider it the back side of the leaf that has the veins very pronounced. You can feel the veins of the leaf, as opposed to the front, which is very smooth. You're going to want to make sure you press down the side of the leaf that has the veins to give it that great depth and veiny, leafy look in your clay. But kind of a trick that you can also do, once you have your leaf imprint on your clay, you can take your knife and just kind of carefully make your veins more pronounced, just to kind of give it that even leafier look. All right, so I have my clay pressed. I'm going to see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my leaf to where it's going to look like that. So it's going to be almost all covered. The whole leaf is going to be almost all on the clay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife and then cut around the exposed, open, excess clay pieces so that it's only in the shape of the leaf. But remember, now that I have my leaf situated, I'm going to press down ever so slightly in all the spots of the leaf just to make sure that we have the vein imprint into the clay to give it that great leafy look. But we don't want to press too hard because we don't want the leaf to stick to the clay. but hard enough to where you can get that imprint. And that was another reason to have the leaf be a little bit moist, a little bit damp. That way it gives it less of a chance to stick. But now I'm going to take my knife and cut around the excess extra pieces of clay. Okay, so now that I have the excess pieces of clay kind of cut around my leaf, you can see it's definitely taking shape of the leaf. And of course, once we take the leaf off, you can kind of use your knife to smooth out some of the edges or cut any other excess pieces off that you don't want. But you're going to want to take your leaf off carefully, but just do a couple other presses just to make sure all of those nice veiny indents are being imprinted into your clay. And then I slowly take it off. Okay, so now that I have the leaf taken off of my clay, you can see it's a cute little shape of a leaf. And then you can kind of see that it does have the veins of the leaf imprinted into the clay. But I'm going to take my knife and just kind of go over some of the veins ever so slightly just to make them a little bit more pronounced. Just kind of following suit with the veins that were already imprinted with the leaf, but just giving it a little bit extra depth. All right, you see there? So now it has even more veins. So now that we have the leaf in its cute leafy shape, or we have the clay in its cute leafy shape, I'm going to carefully pick it up, kind of use my knife just to edge it up a little bit. So now we have a flat leaf. Now to make it into a dish, I'm going to start to curve the edges a little bit. And because it is still quite wet, it'll be good at this time just to kind of shape it in the way that you want. And then we'll let it sit, of course, to air dry. But putting it in the shape that we want of the dish now is going to help to keep it shape once it is fully dry. And, you know, it's going to be a while for it to dry. You're going to want to let it sit at least for 24 hours, if not 48 hours. But see how I'm kind of curling up the edges just ever so slightly, forming it into a cute little dish that you can put rings in, little trinkets, just something fun. So once I get it kind of in a curved shape, I'm going to hold it in place for just a few seconds just to make sure that it's in the shape that I want. So we have that. So now that we have our leaf dish really kind of shaped and molded the way we want, we're going to let it sit. And because this is air dry clay, you don't have to do anything as far as baking. You're just going to let it sit out in the air for, like I said, about 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so something that I've noticed when I go to shape my leaf clay into a dish, it holds the shape well, but then it starts to kind of want to flatten back out again. So something that you could do to help maintain its shape as it's drying is just take some tape, just some Scotch tape, and put some tape on one of the sides of your dish and just very kind of loosely, but still somewhat tight, attach the other side of the tape to the dish. So you can see the tape here is extending from one side of the dish to the other, and it'll help it to kind of maintain that dish-like shape while it's air drying. And you can use one piece of tape if you'd like, and you can use two if you want to use tape to stretch from the other end of your leaf clay dish so that it kind of does this almost crisscross motion. You can see that. And just kind of taping the other side. And it's just ever so slightly taping. See how I have one piece going this way, another piece going the opposite direction. And it's really, you're not wanting to put the tape very securely to the clay. It's really just to kind of help to hold it in place as it's air drying, because you definitely want to have it be a dish. You don't want it to be a flat surface unless that's what you would like. But having it in a dish makes it so you can put cute little things inside. So after about 24 to 48 hours, we'll take the tape off just to make sure that it is securely holding its shape. Hey there, guys. Okay, so it's been about a day, about 24 hours, and we're just going to kind of take a peek and see how our dish is doing as far as drying goes. So as you might remember, I did put a little bit of tape around it just to kind of help secure it in an upturned position, because I wanted my dish to be a little bit upturned. So I'm just going to take the tape off a bit just to kind of see, and it does feel firmer, and it is hardening nicely in this position. Just going to take some of this tape off, and I'll probably put the tape back on just in case, because I am going to let it dry for at least another 24 hours. But you can kind of see the nice shape that it has taken. A cute little clay dish made just from air dry clay. And you can see the fun leaf shape. So it's such a super easy craft. And with this, like I mentioned earlier, you can put rings in it, earrings, cute little keepsake trinkets. It's such a fun, cute little festive dish to make, especially for this time of year. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me on this craft endeavor. We hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to share pictures or comments below, letting us know how your craft went. And we hope that you enjoy the next upcoming craft. It's going to be Scrabble ornaments, and registration to pick up a craft kit for Scrabble ornaments will open on November 7th at 10 a.m. So you can feel free to register for a craft kit for that beginning on November 7th. All right, thanks so much, guys, and have an awesome day.